This is the 1964 statement of the Sidney and Esther Rabb Foundation. Mr. Rabb was among the many philanthropists involved in CIA transactions who preferred not to talk with CBS News. For 1964, the Rabb Fund had only 3 cash contributions. Everything else came from its own securities. But 3 known CIA dummies contributed $25,000, $20,000, and $6,000. Remember those sums. These are the Rabb Fund's benefactions for 1964. $16.66 to Brandeis University, $3 to the Businessmen's Council, and so on, until we come to $25,000 for the International Development Foundation. Then some more modest donations, then $20,000 to the Society of African Culture, then $2 to Sinai Hospital, and $6,000 to the National Students Association. In effect, the CIA has once again been caught trying to hide an edifice the size of the Pentagon behind a little sign that says Bureau of Public Roads. In a moment, we'll meet some of the people who were getting that CIA money. Probably the CIA has taken the most punishment over its infiltration of youth groups. There is an uneasy feeling that an eager new generation was somehow used, somehow betrayed by the elders who should have protected it. But do you remember the communist effort to turn world youth into a weapon aimed at the United States? Do you remember the East Berlin Youth Festival of 1951, when 26,000 young people from 104 countries massed to salute the heroic North Korean army for its struggle against the American imperialist aggressors? And when Harry Truman showed up on propaganda posters as a brand new Adolf Hitler? Or do you remember the Moscow extravaganza of 1957? 100,000 young people, many of them future leaders of Africa, Asia, and Latin America, gathering at the fountainhead of communism to celebrate such gala occasions as Hiroshima Day and Anti-Colonialism Day. For 6 successive youth festivals, the Kremlin did all of the talking, and the people who paid for the fireworks made sure they turned out the proper shade of red. But then something changed in Vienna in 1959. Here is how CBS News correspondent Ernest Leiser described it then.
The 7th World Youth Festival was anything but an unqualified success for its Soviet sponsors. They ran a calculated risk in holding it outside their own area of control, and the risk did not pay off well. The festival met challenge for the first time, and the communists did not know how to deal with that novel experience. It did not strike either the resonant sounding board in the free world that the communists hoped. Instead, the festival ran smack up against indifference. The anti-communist opponents of the festival were not altogether successful either. They raised the challenge, but their own program was small and scattershot. Against massive Soviet organization, their own disorganized half-effort was not enough. But this was their first try, and it did demonstrate very clearly that if the West went all out, it could effectively take over the World Youth Festival anytime it comes out of Russia's area of control.
The person most responsible for that first partial scattershot Western success at the Vienna Festival was a young student leader named Gloria Steinem. Her independent research service helped bring those freewheeling young Americans to Vienna. Now Miss Steinem reveals that her work at Vienna and later at the Helsinki Youth Festival of 1962 was secretly paid for by the Central Intelligence Agency. And in fact, somewhere amid that tangle of CIA philanthropies, you'll find a 1962 Independence Foundation grant to the Independent Research Service for $125,000. What did it buy us? A few days ago, Gloria Steinem and correspondent Marvin Kalb, who covered the Helsinki Festival, sat down to see that communist extravaganza again on CBS News film.
How well organized was their operation?
Oh, well, very well organized. I mean, this is a Soviet-run festival, and it's the result of 2 years of preparation, very careful planning, putting together delegations all over the world.
But would these people have known that they were part of some great big communist operation at this point?
Yes, I think so. I mean, it was quite evident. Oh, yes, this is Jerry Pelican, who's representative of the age of communist students one gets. The last 3 people who have occupied his position have been Soviets who have gone immediately to being head of the Soviet Secret Service. So
including people like Shelyapin and Semishchastny.
Yes, exactly. So you can see how shall I say, amateurish the communist students are.
Was it basically Russian money that brought a lot of these delegations to Helsinki?
Yes, in many cases it was.
What's the thumbs down? What was that all about?
Oh, those are the Finnish students who did not wish the festival to come there in the first place. That doesn't look like too enthusiastic a crowd, does it?
Clary, here's the American delegation coming through. How many of these people were aware of any kind of CIA funding, of their presence?
No, none. They were all. They came because they believed that it was important to come and represent the diversity of American views at the festival, where, after all, many Asians and Africans and Latin Americans had gathered. They were never told what to say. After all, it's not very impressive or a proof of freedom to present one monolith with another, and there was no attempt to do so.
Is this your jazz group?
Yes, we encouraged them to come. I believe they had other concerts to do in Europe as well, but we asked them to come to Helsinki. There was an art exhibition there.
What is happening here? This happened 2 or 3 nights in a row at the beginning of the
festival.
I
think, as I remember, it was 4 nights altogether before it was finally quelled. The Finnish young people were so drastically against the festival that they did something which I thought was unwise, which is to demonstrate violently against it. As a result, there was Soviet pressure on the Finnish government to quell the demonstrations, and they did. They used tear gas against their own students in order to do it.
You had nothing to do with
no, nothing at all. We advised against it. We thought violence was a mistake in any case.
Gloria, at the festival, you worked for the Independent Research Service.
That's right.
Well, exactly when did your own association with the CIA start, and in what fashion? Did they come to you, or did you go to them?
In 1958, when I came home from India, I discussed with student leaders, past and present, many of them active with the National Student Association, this kind of small foundation to encourage Americans to go. They thought it was a good idea, too. I was then told by foundations and professors and friends that I should not do this, that I would get in trouble with the House Un-American Activities Committee, the American Legion, all of those 50s people. And I became convinced that it was impossible. It was at that point that the student leaders said to me that they had in the past received funds for international programs from the CIA, and that they felt that this was important and could also be partly funded by the CIA.
Well, I mean, did you feel that you really tried? I mean, did you go around to all of the wealthy private foundations, wealthy private people, and explain your point of view, and explain why you felt it was important that the United States be represented at these things in a certain way? What did they tell you?
They told me that, well, the Ford Foundation, for instance, told me that they thought we were too liberal and too controversial, and that we would endanger their cultural programs in Austria. I mean, the first festival was being held in Vienna. It was not encouraging at all, and the private individuals to whom I went often had particular points of view to put forward, which would have been much, much more restricting than the CIA funds were, which were free. I mean, no one was told what to say.
You mean they were free? You mean to say it was easier for you to work for the CIA than a private organization?
That's right. And